think it's working. We are on Facebook. All right. Salut tout le monde sur la page Facebook de Coworking Rodden. Je sais que ça fait longtemps que je ne suis pas sur la page. L'été. Étais-tu extraordinaire? Vraiment beau. J'ai adoré ça. Pour le monde qui ne me connaisse pas, je suis Amber Lawrence, la fondatrice de ça. Et aujourd'hui, sur notre petite live, j'ai vraiment le plaisir d'avoir Tara ici de Canoe Coworking. L'idée, c'était vraiment de montrer d'autres façons de faire du coworking parce que quand je rentre dans cet univers-là, j'avais une toute petite idée de c'était quoi. C'est vraiment là, très petit. Puis là, à force d'apprendre, je suis comme, wow, il y a tellement différentes façons de faire, puis différentes choses à faire. Puis quand j'ai connu Tara, je l'ai aimé énormément, puis son projet est super cool. Je me suis dit, ben, on va en parler. Un petit disclaimer, on va le faire en anglais. So, si vous ne connaissez pas l'anglais, malheureusement, ça va être en anglais. So, without further ado, I'm going to switch into English and we're going to do it. So, hello, Tara!
Bonjour, Amber. Lorsque pour tout le monde, je parle en français, mais juste un petit peu. Lorsqu'on va parler en anglais pour cette programme ici, merci, Amber. Et je suis très heureuse d'être ici avec vous. And I'm super happy to be here. Yay!
Good job, man. Merci. And you are in Winnipeg.
Oui.
Ah, nice. What's it like in Winnipeg right now?
It's a little stormy today, a little cool, but it's always sunshiny in Canoe Coworking's office, so it's great.
All right, so I'll leave the floor to you. Talk to me about history and what you're doing and where you're going and all that great stuff.
Sure. So for the last 2 years, Canoe Coworking here in Winnipeg has been trying to open up a physical space. So you might be familiar with like shared offices or co-working spaces. Maybe your library does some cool programming, those kinds of things. We really wanted to focus on the Indigenous population just because I identify as an Indigenous person. And also there are really great enormous barriers to participation in the economy or in learning to be an entrepreneur. So it was really important to kind of build up the community that built me up. When all these different startup problems happened, so for those of you who don't know, my first space there was an issue with the landlord. It fell apart. My second space actually was involved in a complete lost fire. And then, yeah, it was a very busy 2 years of startup, and I was really struggling as a founder. I kind of just before COVID-19 really happened and the pandemic really hit the world, I was invited to be a part of Coworking Asia, the Coworking conference in Asia in Bali, and it really opened my eyes, like with you, to different ways and to being kind to yourself. So when I came back to Canada, I kind of took a break from my community, came back stronger and realized, let's do this bigger and better because I wasn't already burnt out before. I'm going to do it more. And it has been a really incredible journey. So we've gone virtual. We're building a new website right now. We've created a new business plan because it's a whole new approach. But what we're really excited about is just the idea behind co-working and collaborating can go so much further than that face-to-face. And we can really make it about person to person, regardless of where you are. So for a lot of our Indigenous communities, the internet is really that equalizer for accessing programs, for accessing education. And so we are making that programming and that community and that network available for you, regardless of where you are, just by your computer or by your cell phone. So it's going to be really awesome. And we have some really great partnerships coming up as well. But co-working really started the passion flame for this project. And it still, to me, is very much co-working. It's just being done in an Indigenous holistic lens.
Okay. Wow. So is it only for Indigenous people or is it for anybody who could be interested in what you're offering?
Yeah, so we get that question a lot. I get that question a lot. And the way I describe it best is that if you, as a non-Indigenous person, want to share in the community with us, I feel that there is going to be like a code of conduct. There's going to be some training just to make sure that people coming in, like you said, Amber, there's a lot of things that we don't know about each other. And we want people to be accessible to come into our safe spaces, but we also have to recognize that the history of colonization has really impacted our people, and so we need to be mindful of that when we're inviting people who might not know our history into our spaces. So really the biggest barrier to be a part of our program is really just being educated, trained, and aware that you as a person are always going to be able to learn, and that within our space, and this goes both ways, we're all learning to communicate with one another. We're all learning our needs and our requirements to be open to everybody, right? But we are very aware of that, and we hope to make more connections with either non-Indigenous or Indigenous people in a good and healthy way where they are the ones leading those discussions.
Wow, that's really interesting. So how, because when we think of co-working, we tend to think of, a physical space where I could go to and see someone or have a desk, or so how does it work virtually? Because virtually would be with the internet. So like I'm a little confused on like how does that make it more tangible or more personable, or because I think of, unfortunately, your peoples have been moved usually out in the middle of nowhere where there's very few services historically.
Yeah.
And so I think like how would okay, I'm ignorant. I'm showing my ignorance. Is there internet up there? Like, is it fast enough for this? Like, no. I'm sorry.
No, it's not. It's so exciting that you're asking those questions because very few people do. And so where I am in Winnipeg, Manitoba actually has one of the worst internet connectivities north of like a certain area in the entire country.
So you didn't make this easy for yourself. That's what you're telling me.
No, I really didn't. And one thing that I actually have to do is I have partnerships within the communications communities with people that are actually internet service providers, because I need to know this information so that people can get access to it. So we are on Facebook Live. We are on Zoom. Yeah. A lot of people either, it's a very high bandwidth application.
Yes, it is.
So a lot of people can't actually use it when they're in remote areas because it will freeze, it will glitch. What we've done is we've partnered with another social enterprise called Walkabout Workplace, and they are based out of the States, but they created a platform that is really intuitive and community focused, where there is a visual aspect to the application and it's a very low bandwidth, but they also have video and chat included with it.
With low bandwidth too?
Yep.
I love coworkers. I love entrepreneurs. I mean, yes, we're talking about co-working, but I love entrepreneurs. We're always like, okay, so what can we do to solve whatever the problem is? And there's an entrepreneur out there somewhere that has solved this problem or is in the process of. And because of the internet, we have access. Because I think if you didn't have internet, we wouldn't have access to these other entrepreneurs in the States. So that's really interesting.
Right. So those are really important things. But I think the real value that Canoe brings forward, outside of the fact that we have an incredible international network of co-working people that are driven to be better people and to be a part of bigger communities, is that when you go to conferences or you go to meetings or events, a lot of times there are people behind the scenes that you don't see making that a smooth event for you. These are people like audio visuals, maybe translators for a lot of us bilingual folk or those of us who have Indigenous languages. There are folks that are making sure people are showing up on time, are trained and know how to present for maybe a keynote or a panel. There are people behind the scenes that we don't see all the time. And that's where I really identified the potential for Canoe to be ambassadors for not only the co-working community, but also the Indigenous community, because we're able to help people that might not necessarily understand the software or how to use it to make a bigger impact for their own businesses. So we're kind of those mediators behind the scenes where you don't necessarily see us, but we're helping our membership move forward. And to do that in a visual way is really important. I'm a visual person. And so the app actually makes it look like little floor plans, and it's interactive. So you and me would be on this floor plan and you can literally see us like this, and we would be talking to one another.
Wow.
It's not live right now just because I'm working on the background, but it is a really awesome tool for not only youth because it's click and play, but also, like I said, people that might not have a really good understanding of technology, but still want to be a part of the conversations.
Right. I was going to say, could we see a picture of it or something? That would have been cool.
What?
You could share your screen.
Yeah, let me just jump in
if you can.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am just going to pull this up right now.
Because I'm like you, I'm a very visual person. It's like, so show me, I don't understand.
Yeah, no, it's
so exciting though.
You know what? It's so neat. And I have my moments where I'm like, is this really what I want for the community? But then the community always guides you, right? And it's
Absolutely.
such an awesome thing to be able to be that space for those people.
Absolutely. And that connected to the community to be able to pivot and to change, or to bring something that maybe the community didn't realize was missing.
You know what? I don't realize that half of the things are missing.
Yeah.
And I think that's
which is the power of co-working, right? Because you get a gang of people together. One person knows this is missing, another person knows that's missing, and then they start talking and they go, really? Well, we could work this out. We could figure this out. And if they hadn't had that place to get together, to have those conversations in an open way, then, and that safe space, because it's so important. I mean, I've been in different, places in my life where I was like, no, I'm not going to say anything. But, what I've done on my research on co-working, every place that I've ever talked to or I've gone to, an underlying theme is a safe place.
Absolutely. Or being welcomed, or being recognized for being different.
Absolutely. So, and celebrated.
With that being said, let's celebrate. Yes. And I will share my screen with you really quick here. I'm just going to shut a couple things because
you're in Winnipeg.
Yeah. So here we go. And we're going to go directly to the walkabout directory. So this is kind of the back end. This is what I see. Okay. So let's just go here and we're going to do this. Okay. So I'm going to do, because I'm a member of my own co-working space.
I would hope so.
So I get popped into my office immediately. This is my private office. You can change the background to make it whatever you look like. This is definitely not who I am as a person. I do not play sports. But it's really neat because when you open it up here, this is what my office now looks like. So
very nice.
Yeah, so you'll actually, when you arrive, if you were to be meeting with me in this office, we would arrive here in the lobby, which then opens up a lobby space. And a virtual AI would welcome you to the space and say, hey, here's all the information that you need to know. I'm letting Tara know that you're here. And it will actually knock on my door, which is really neat.
That's cool.
So each of these little baby offices fit about 10 people virtually. So if you're having a webinar or a meeting, anything like that, they're right in there. These bigger office spaces fit about 25, I believe was the last count. And then this big guy here in the corner is my patio, and that can fit probably close to 100 people on that space for virtual co-working.
Wow.
Now
So
this
when
is
you say, but wait, when you say fit 100 people, what does that mean?
So let's say you're having a webinar and you have more than 10 to 15 people. Generally, that becomes a premium offering on a lot of web services because there's too many people. Here, you would just be able to book the room, and then you would have access for 100 people across the world, whoever has internet access, who has a link to the time and place that you're going to be. You just put that in your meeting notes. You say, go to this website, it will click in, and then everyone that is a part of that can be active with your space.
Wow.
Yeah, so
That's neat.
this is just one floor plan, and this is actually one of the pre-designed floor plans. So we're anticipating a custom floor plan within the next month or so, but there's also ones that are just for like independent businesses where you can have like a little one office for yourself.
Okay.
Ours is really based on collaboration though. So we want people in these little mini offices so that they can see their peers, they can make those meetings and those natural connections that we're used to seeing with what I call water talk or cooler talk. Those happen naturally here. And it's all because we're able to see one another and connect with one another in a way that's not through Zoom or where you have to be on all the time. Because there's no video, there's no audio unless you really want to have a meeting or something. It's just you're there and you can do your work, and maybe somebody can say, hey, Amber, do you know about nonprofits? And you would go, a little, and say, come back in 5 minutes, we'll talk, So it's a really, really great option for a lot of people. And it doesn't look fancy. It doesn't have to be. It's serving a bigger purpose, which is it's connecting with people regardless of their bandwidth, which is how much internet access they have. And also because it's accessible. You don't need all the bells and whistles if you just want it to work and do its job well, which is exactly what I'm really pleased with the Walkabout people for doing. Is they are adding features, they are talking to people, they're really making it work for us as users, but also for them as software. So I'm just going to stop the screen here so we can focus on one another.
That's really cool. I know, to say, I really like it. Now that I've seen it, it makes more sense when you say things, like I was like, I don't understand what she's talking about. It's cool, but I don't get it.
Right. And so that was something that I didn't focus on a lot pre-COVID because I didn't realize how powerful of a tool I had been using until then. And now that we're able to build our communications, we're having a manual built, we're going to have some entertainment kind of, what is this, videos developed. Mm-hmm. It's going to show people that tool behind it. It sounds like you're interested when you talk about it, but when you see it, you're excited and you're charged and you're like, wow, how can I be a part of that? So,
and that was my next question. How, if I watched this video and I went, oh yeah, like I've got to get a piece of this. What do I do? I mean, obviously when we're done here, I'll put all the links and everything with this video. Absolutely. But, for people who are watching now.
Yeah. So we are just in the process of changing our entire website design. But what I do encourage you to do is to go check out canoecoworking.ca and to try and sign up there before we go live with all the new stuff. We're active on Facebook and Twitter, Instagram, and I myself personally am on LinkedIn. It is a great opportunity to connect before we launch and to be kind of one of those first people in the door, because those are going to be the people that really kind of create that foundation of what we are reflective as a community. So I really do encourage you, if you're excited about this beforehand, to kind of jump in now, because it's only going to get bigger and better from here. And if we can have a really strong collective voice as a group before we go forward, that would be incredible for me to be able to see that as an entrepreneur, and also to see people coming together. I'm just so happy that we had a chance to connect again. It's been so long, Amber, and I've been so pleased to watch your co-working journey. And I hope that I know you're going to be one of those first members. So we're really excited to have you on board.
Yes, of course I'm going to be a member. Are you kidding? Sign me up. Wherever I need to go, you just
yeah. So where you need to go right now is mostly canoecoworking.ca, and just give us some of your details, whether that's through the sign up in the link, or you choose to contact myself. We're happy to be in contact with whomever wants to learn more.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you so much for your time. And I think we're gonna stop it there. And like I said, I will put up links and everything else with this video. So thank you so very, very much for, taking the time to talk to us and to show us this amazing thing. It's absolutely incredible. So I'm just going to do my little spiel in French at the end.
Oui. Merci pour tout le monde qui parle en français.
Oh, c'est fantastique. Mais merci beaucoup tout le monde sur la page Facebook qui l'avait regardé. Si c'est quelque chose qui vous intéresse, tous les liens vont être sur cette vidéo ici dans une couple de minutes. J'ai besoin d'une couple de minutes pour tout peaufiner. Mais je vous remercie énormément de l'avoir regardé. Si jamais vous avez des questionnements, des commentaires, s'il vous plaît, mettez-les en dessous de la vidéo. Ça me fait plaisir. Puis j'espère d'en avoir plus. Puis comme Tara a dit, c'est sûr que je vais être une des premières adopteurs de son Space Coworking. Puis je me dis, peut-être que ça serait quelque chose qui va venir ici. Puis ça va être peut-être un potentiel partenaire. Ah! En tout cas, merci beaucoup tout le monde, puis à la prochaine!